Good evening and welcome to Close Up. A team of Australian ear, nose and throat specialists, also known as ENT, arrived into the country last week to provide free health screening and surgery for Fijian children around the country, here in CWM in the capital. Touching down at the Nosori airport, this Israel medical team is here on a mission. They carry with them high hopes to improve the lives of children who suffer from special cases of ear, nose and throat. The Israeli humanitarian project was arranged by the Israel Foreign Ministry's MASHAV agency for International Development Cooperation, the Israeli Embassy in Canberra and the Australasian Jewish Medical Federation. The team included 3 specialists and a nurse. More than 70 children from around the country received top medical treatment.
We're representing the State of Israel as their overseas aid project. The Fijian government initially requested that we send a team to help them with ear, nose and throat surgeries, and that's what we've been doing. This is our 3rd trip to Fiji to help with local ear, nose and throat issues. We're not doing simple cases, we're doing the complex cases which the local ENT surgeon finds for us. It's been very gratifying. Well, people are very thankful for our efforts here, and we feel very privileged to be here to be able to do this and trying to make a difference.
This is the 5th year running for this project. For these doctors, this trip is always an emotional one for them as they share their expertise to save children not only in the country but more than 60 countries worldwide.
We had a little kid with a tracheostomy tract, so we repaired that tract. So we did a laryngoscopy and we had a look and then we repaired the tract. Yeah. And then we did an endoscopic surgery, functional endoscopic sinus surgery. So a patient who had like really big polyps and stuff. So we used a microdebrider and we just, shaved all the polyps off. Yeah, and we did that. Yeah. Well, it's really amazing because, we actually come here and we do patients that we don't really see back at home because, the cases are really big and complicated over here. So it's really nice and it's really good that, we can come and help these people and see a really good result at the end of it. Yeah, so it's really good. And the Fijian people are amazing. They're so hospitable. The staff in theatres are amazing. They're really good. And we're really well looked after over here.
They are working closely with Fijian doctors through the South Pacific Island nations and the Ministry of Health and Medical Services.
Particularly when we run 2 theatres, we use the local nurses and the local anaesthetists as well. We supervise everything that goes on and we run the theatres, but the staff here have been very helpful and very useful.
And the equipment, do you use your own equipment or the ones that are...
We brought 11 crates of equipment with us, so we've got most things most operations covered by the equipment that we've brought. Israel has been very generous in sponsoring our freight so that we can get everything we need here.
In the process of screening, the team found an unusual case.
I'm an ear, nose and throat, head and neck surgeon with a particular interest in children's surgery, in nose surgery and in head and neck cancer tumour surgery. Today we started with a few interesting cases, operating on a few children who had some problems with the nose and the throat. One was a child who had a problem with a difficult to close wound in the neck after they had to have a tracheostomy tube, a windpipe airway tube. So we helped to repair that residual defect. Tomorrow we're planning to do some more cases which are increasing in complexity as they come through. And by Friday we're actually planning to do a very special case of a special little 2-year-old girl who has been born with a problem with which she was finding it very difficult to breathe, and she needed to have a tracheostomy tube to breathe. Now her upper airway above the tracheostomy tube is not working well, and we're actually flying in a specialist expert professor from Melbourne, Professor Robert Berkowitz, who has a specialty interest in children's airway surgery, to try and reconstruct her airway with a big operation.
Two-year-old Florabelle Taylor Moses has always suffered severe breathing problems since birth, and now all hopes are on this man to help save her life. Dr. Robert Berkowitz is also an ENT surgeon but specializes only on children and babies. He made a special trip to Fiji to attend to Florabelle's need. She was born with a distorted left shoulder, and this caused her to have difficulty in breathing and was admitted in the neonatal intensive care unit. From then, Florabelle was no stranger to hospitals.
Whenever they tried to wean her off the oxygen, she couldn't breathe on her own. So we were intubated, re-intubated, and that's how it's always been. When we got discharged, we only stayed home for, I think, 2 days. We had to rush her back, and then we got admitted at the Pico. We stayed there for, well, I think till September or October. We stayed there. That's when Dr. J, the ENT consultant here, he approached us and said that there was a way that, and he's the one that operated on her first and inserted the trachea on her throat. So without that trachea, I think we'd still be in hospital. We got discharged after the wound healed, and she's been with the trachea since 4 months, since she was 4 months. Now she's 2 years, 2 months.
The Israeli team are here doing a lot of surgery, but there were 2 little children as part of the patients who needed to be looked after, and they asked if I could come and help with these children. And why wouldn't you want to come to Fiji? It's lovely to be here, and it's a real honour to be able to help. Hopefully we'll be able to do something useful for the children. This is a problem around the world where children who, when they're born, if they need, often they need to be helped with their breathing. That involves putting a tube into their airway, and often that tube can cause some scarring. This is something that's been a recognised problem for decades, and sometimes that scarring actually closes the airway, and so you have to bypass that by putting in a tracheostomy, a breathing tube below the scarring. And what we hope to do tomorrow is to open up the airway by repairing it, but also using some rib rib cartilage, put it into the airway, widen the airway, and hopefully once it all heals, hopefully we'll be able to remove the tracheostomy. Hopefully the child can have a normal life. That's what we're hoping to do.
This is the day that Florabelle and her family have long anticipated, and we are now in the theatre room with Dr. Rob and his team. It took this ENT specialist 5 hours to work with Florabelle.
Well, it actually went very well. The voice box was terribly scarred, and it would have been a difficult operation if we did it here or in Israel. And fortunately, we had all very good backup. We had everything we needed. We had Dr. J helping us, and so it went well. We basically did what we set out to do. We opened the voice box completely. It was full of scar. We didn't remove the scar because one doesn't do that, but we opened it up. Took a rib, a nice rib, and put half of it at the back of the voice box, another half at the front to make a nice big opening. We put a tube through that just to sit there for another 4 weeks till it all heals up. And the airway is lovely. It's actually bigger than a normal airway, but we're just hopeful that it all depends on how it all heals. And we're optimistic, but you just can't tell till the 4 weeks are up until we pull the tube out. Dr. J will do that for us, and we're hoping for a good result. You know, no matter how many times we've done the operation, and I've had a fair bit of experience in this. It's always difficult. They're never easy. They're always difficult, and I think that's it's always challenging. I suppose the other problem is that when you do the operation, to some degree, you don't control the results. And you do what you think looks beautiful. It did look really nice, but to some degree the results are out of your hands, and you can't guarantee that things will work well just because the operation has gone well. But obviously we're hopeful that will be the case here.
Like any parent, this is a difficult situation to face, but Florabelle was a true fighter.
I tell you, it was trying times. We she coded 5 times. First time she coded, I clearly recall that's when they tried to bring her back, and she just wouldn't come back, and they were pulling out tubes from her when she gasped for breath. It was like 22 minutes, I think, when they were trying to bring her back. She gasped for breath, that's when they intubated her again. So most of her time in hospital was spent in the machine. Yeah.
As the saying goes, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. This is a testimony for the Moses family and their miracle baby.
First of all, she's a fighter.
Yeah.
We call her our miracle baby
miracle baby.
after all those resuscitations. Yeah. And she's very strong, very active.
You know, the amazing thing about this group coming to Fiji was that when we heard on Monday that there was a group, when they interviewed us on Monday, the group, and then they mentioned that if they were not able to do the procedure here, we might have to fly over to Australia. We thought for a while, and we thought of the expenses. But on Tuesday, when we read on the papers that someone is coming we knew that, okay, this is for our daughter. And then on Wednesday we heard from friends that have heard the news. And then they said, there was on the news that there was a 2-year doctor coming to operate on a 2-year-old Fijian girl. We just knew that this is our daughter they were talking about. So we just called each other, we were excited, our friends were happy. But even though we didn't have any, there was no news from the hospital to tell us that they were coming for her. But we just knew in our heart that he was coming for our little one. And we were excited, we were happy. It's an answer to prayer. We have seen how God has provided for her and how God has brought her this far. And that's why we call her our miracle baby. And on Wednesday, they called us. And they said, please bring baby on Thursday because she's in for an operation. We just thank God and we just thank the Israeli government, for providing this, because we could have spent a lot of money taking her over. But I think the state of Israel has opened up to our nation, and we should be grateful for that. And our child is very blessed. I say very blessed. I told my wife, our child is one of the luckiest and the blessed child in this part of the world, that someone had to come all this way just to work on her. And we are grateful and we are thankful.
Giving up was not an option for this family, and now their prayers have been answered.
She's a gift from God, and we want to treasure that, and we want to look after her and mold her to be the young person that, is meant to be. One of our friends came home and visited her before the operation and has given her a nickname for us to call her Farishta, which means angel in Hindi. So there's a new name for her. We used to call her our miracle baby, but now we are using Farishta at home as a new name, which was given by the principal of the theological college in the level. So she is our Farishta to the home.
For these ENT doctors from Israel traveling to a small island nation just to put a smile on the faces of their patients is a reward itself. They returned home happy knowing that this trip has meant a lot to many Fijian families. They look forward to be back in Fiji in the near future.
What you're doing is useful. So we all do useful things, but I think that doctors are very lucky. We're extremely, complaints, long hours, hard work, get yelled at by patients, our bosses yell. It's like with any other job, but what it has that other jobs don't have is you're just doing something. Every time you see somebody, you're doing something, hopefully something good for them. And I don't think many jobs offer that. And that's just very fortunate to be the situation. And in the same way, that the fact that the Israeli government has made it possible for us to come here, that's fortunate. That's how lucky is that? It's a terrific opportunity, and it's been very happy to be a doctor.
I like the fact that people are happy and thankful, and that we can actually make a difference and make people better, make them hear better. We can make them breathe better. We can fix their cancers. It's very gratifying.
And that's Close Up this evening. For more comments and questions, email us on closeup@fijitv.com.fj. Until then, good evening.